Hi everyone and welcome back for this day 2 of the quest to sustainable operation. And don't forget you can follow us on all the social media, Twitter with the hashtag TheQuestBy3DS, Facebook, YouTube and LinkedIn. But I have here 2 guests, so welcome back, Guillaume. How are you?
Hi, Penta. I'm fine. How are you doing?
And good, thank you. And a very special guest too, Morgan Zimmerman from Exide, right? NetVibes.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, and it's special about data, AI, if I'm right?
You're very right.
Okay, so welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Okay, so just a quick reminder about what happened yesterday. So yesterday was the 2 first level of this quest, and 5 teams just succeed brilliantly to do it. But today is a very, very special level, right, Guillaume?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yesterday, we started indeed the first 2 levels of our quest to sustainable excellence. And we focused on the more operational and tactical aspect of the business, as supported by the 3D experience. Today, it's going to be a different story. We're going to go strategical. We're going to go outside of the 4 walls of the factory. We're going to go into the broader world of the supply chain, where complexity is extremely high, but the stakes or benefit are great. So it's going to be extremely challenging. I think it's going to be fun. The way that the day will happen, or this session will happen, this 90-minute session will happen, is more or less the same as today. We'll go through different experiences, and when the team, we will follow up on the team, see their progress, comment on their progress, and when they unlock a new level, we'll have access to goodies, to bonuses, and actually, I suggest to start the day with a bonus, just to be in a good mood for this session. And so I suggest, Morgan, that we invite our first guest.
Absolutely. So the first bonus today is Robert Nardidi. He's Senior Vice President, Head of Manufacturing Engineering for Airbus Commercial Aircraft. Former engineer, he participated to the development of the A320, the A330, the A340. He held many strategic positions at Airbus, and today he's responsible for the development of the Airbus industrial system and to make sure it is prepared for future programs. He'll share with you insights and experiences on how Airbus drove their journey to sustainable manufacturing.
Okay, so I hope maybe later in the day we'll still have the 3D experience platform and the virtual twin experience as well, or?
Yeah. You'll see, it's going to be the same.
Okay,
Don't worry.
I was very fan of this experience to see how the people are going to the factory and the optimization of the
let's enjoy the goodies first, and then we'll get to it.
Okay, let's move to that.
Hello, everyone. I have to say that I'm extremely happy to be with you today to give some hint about sustainable manufacturing at Airbus. The sustainability is at the heart of Airbus' purpose. As we look into pioneering sustainable aerospace, we also need to better define what will make Airbus more sustainable in the years to come. In addition, our industry, like many other sectors, by the way, is facing increasing regulation and stakeholder expectation around environmental, social, and governance matters. Today, in the wake of the COVID crisis, we are witness heightened regulatory pressure and growing stakeholder expectation on accelerating our sustainability ambition. Managing the environmental impact of our business is an obvious requirement at the heart of the European Green Deal and growing societal concern around the benefit of aviation. But beyond environmental concern, we see as well growing expectation around enhancing the management of human capital across our value chain, as well as strengthening our governance around essential pillars of our business, like safety, quality, and integrity. Now, more importantly, our stakeholders are expecting from us to make sustainability an integral part of the way we operate our business. We can no longer rely on high-level, soft commitment. We have therefore developed a fully integrated approach which connects the proposed sustainability strategic framework to the company overall strategy and to our purpose. There are 4 strategic pillars which goes along 4 commitments. The first one is environment, with the ambition to lead the journey toward a clean aerospace. The second is respect of human rights and foster inclusion. The third is to build our business on the foundation of safety and quality, and obviously safety addressing people and product. And finally, the fourth is to exemplify the business integrity, which is a commitment that our company has been closely monitoring over the past few years. But let's start with the clean aviation. Sustainability is generally understood as environmental sustainability. On this key dimension, closely followed by stakeholders and regulators, Airbus has engaged in several battles. The first one, the decarbonization, is probably the most representative one, with a commitment taken to reduce CO2 emission all along the supply chain, not only to meet the Paris Agreement, but even to match the 1.5-degree trajectory. For our industrial perimeter, it translates into a portfolio of projects to reduce the environmental footprint of our buildings, optimize usage of energy along our manufacturing processes, with the introduction of metering to monitor and improve, introduction of biofuel for our internal transportation system. But decarbonization is not the only dimension of our I5+ plan, which translates our company environmental ambition by 2030. This plan is also addressing VOC emissions, waste and water consumption reduction, with significant implication for our industrial system. For VOC, it translates into replacement of product used in manufacturing by zero-emission product, or a strong reduction when not yet feasible. For water, on top of close monitoring of usage and leakage reduction, it is introducing water discharge treatment in our facility. For example, osmosis treatment in our Illescas facility, enabling to save more than 12,000 cubic meters of water discharge per year. For waste, it means optimize usage of material in our machining processes, recycling opportunities, but also second life investigation of our asset. And I like to take the example of the A380 end of production, where we have been redispatching machine spare part in other sites. Let's speak about health and safety. Concerning safety, it's about safety of our product, but it starts with the safety of our people. And in particular, a significant mindset change is ongoing on the topic to develop a so-called zero-harm culture in all domains. When talking about manufacturing area, the first strong action is to protect. Protect against exposure to substances with substitution of product used in our processes, but as well protection in the execution of our manufacturing operation with strengthened guidance of our operators by using so-called interactive standard operating instruction that permit identifying critical operations with regard to safety. Finally, protection of the work environment, revisiting the organization of the workstation to prevent any risk. For instance, zero wire on the floor, revisiting the stair arrangement, and with large information campaign in all areas, and with the concept we develop of near safe is not safe. But protecting is not enough. Prevention is a must. All across the company, the focus is now on near misses, which are declared in a corporate tool and followed closely to ensure appropriate actions are engaged and disseminated in the different sites. In addition, all the manufacturing routines of our production system, as well called as Airbus operating system, are also integrating now health and safety aspect. Finally, the sustainability of this zero-harm approach will be the result of the commitment of all, at all levels of management. And in that context, an Airbus code of conduct has been defined and endorsed by all managers, from the team leader in the production line up to the Airbus board of directors. I would like now to address the human-centric approach. Indeed, speaking about green, safe and healthy is not sufficient. Our ambition is also to enhance the human experience on the shop floor and to put the operator at the heart of our industrial system. With the integration of new technical bricks that will help the execution, augmented reality, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, more and more data will flow towards the operator. Then the human factor in all its dimensions has to be addressed. Cognitive aspect with revisited human-machine interface or different way to address the information. Integration of the human in the industrial system, speaking about interaction between human and human or interaction between human and machine. And finally, on the physical aspect, with the ergonomic aspect using, for instance, exoskeleton. But all those elements are addressing the sustainability aspect of our current industrial system. And the real challenge will be the future product and associated industrial system. In this context, we have engaged into a significant company transformation program known as DDMS, Digital Design, Manufacturing and Services. The main principles established are around the co-design of the product and the industrial system, looking for a global optimum by avoiding the classical sequential approach, which is engineering, manufacturing, and then services. In reality, we could even talk of co-eco-design, thanks to the integration of the environmental dimension right from the start and covering all the product life cycle, from the aircraft manufacturing in its environment up to the end of life. Finally, in conclusion, I would say that the world is changing, and so are we at Airbus. Our ambition towards sustainability in all its dimensions is extremely high in our agenda, and this is for the benefit of our customers, our employees, and our stakeholders. Thank you very much for your listening.
So, Guillaume, what an amazing story from Airbus. So, what are the key things to remember?
It's indeed a very interesting testimony, and I think we have two things to remember. The first one, as all key leaders, industrial leaders, Airbus has engaged and is well underway on their sustainability journey. And while obviously they are tackling the green aspect, you know, the waste, the water, etc., which is very important. What is very interesting here is that they seem to have a more balanced approach, if I may, or at least a strong focus on people. I mean, we've been hearing about human rights, we've been hearing about health and safety, we've been hearing about business integrity, and all that points to the I would say the social responsibility of Airbus as a key economical actor, and I think this is a very, very interesting prism or way of seeing things. So that's the first takeaway. The second takeaway is at the end of his speech, Robert is relating sustainability transformation to the DDMS program, their big digital transformation program, right? And this is actually music to our ears because we do believe here at Dassault Systèmes that indeed the way to sustainable operation is through digital transformation, and in particular digital transformation enabled by the 3D experience platform. So two takeaways. that I think are important to keep in mind after Robert's intervention.
So if I understand well, and I'm not an industry specialist at all, but the thing is, what you say with the virtual twin experience, for example, could be a good leverage for Airbus to move to that transition, right?
Exactly. Actually, I'm not saying it. He's saying it. Okay? So that's good to hear from a client.
Okay, I can imagine that. Okay, so Morgan, I know you are about AI and data, I know that stuff. So what's about this level 3, and can you just make us a pitch about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Indeed, we are now reaching level 3. What you will discover in the rest of the day is how we can guide the human energy and the technology power that has been revealed in level 1 and 2 towards achieving enterprise goals. Robert was very specific on the ambition, and the ambition is high. So the next question is, how do you realize that ambition? To achieve that, you will discover how any people in business, Robert was clear on the human centricity of it, how any people in business can be empowered with a holistic, up-to-date understanding of everything that's happening in its business and its supply chain. You will then understand how each of them will also be empowered to simulate, model, measure the impact of any decision, so that we can be sure that in a systematic manner, the decision that will be taken is the one that will serve the ambition that has been described.
Okay, and I guess that's where the data that you are at Exalit and NetVibes are very centric on are useful for the customers, right? Because the more data they have, the more properly they can use it. That's a good leverage too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, what you want is you want anyone that is to work to make sure that he understands the world that he lives in. And for that, you need to represent in the smartest possible manner, and the twin is a very good way of doing it, all of the signals that are coming from every system. Then what you need to do is you need to contextualize all of that data to the enterprise objective, the ambition that has been set. And finally, you need to make sure that you give them the tools to model and simulate, to understand, based on the knowledge that they have and based on the ambition that they have, what are their choices and the decision choices that they can do to achieve the ambition.
Okay, that's pretty clear. But also, I think that in your data, you need to collect maybe the feedback from the ground to from the middle management and for the C-level, right? So is that a challenge too? And I think your platform help on that, right?
Absolutely. So there are two areas in your question. Question number one is somehow what are the data that we capture? And here, you capture data from the sensors, you capture data from the documents, you capture data from the end users. So data comes from everywhere. The second question is, can you elevate, abstract, represent that data, either to top executive KPI that only wants to follow critical KPI, or to more operational KPI with the details in below, so you actually understand what happens. And indeed, we do both. Top executive KPI to understand what happened for the top executive, down to the detailed root cause analysis of a given KPI, so any worker can actually understand why this KPI is good or bad, and how we can play with it to make it better.
Yeah, and as you said, the 3D is really a universal language. That's impressive how it works to help you to improve your process and more efficient. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I have two special guests coming now. So we're going to see you soon. So don't forget on the social media, on Twitter with the hashtag TheQuest3DS. We are also on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So thank you, gentlemen. And now I'm welcoming MC, the Director of Innovation at Delmia, and Vincent Weber, our black level expert, our black belt expert, right? That's the right term to use?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So, MC, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you today?
I'm super exciting because talking about new data and processes and 3D, I'm very into it. So I can't wait to see what's going on actually. And Vincent, welcome aboard.
Yeah.
How are you? I hope you're well.
Very good.
Okay.
I'm happy to play this game.
Oh yeah, me too actually. I can't wait to see how the 5 teams. So just a quick reminder for the people who join us today. MC, can you talk about the 5 teams very briefly?
Yes, I can talk about the 5 teams. I can talk about the winners.
Yeah.
Yes. So yesterday we had 2 games. We had 2 levels that were played by the 5 teams. And our winners are, in order, for the first level, we had Quality Device that came in first place, then Process Fab, followed by Good Tech. And the next level was dominated by Mobile Trends, then Good Tech and Navionics. So from these results, I see that good tech is the one to watch.
Okay. So I heard about SNOP. So, you know,
you know what that
audience-
is?
Yeah, I think maybe our audience is curious too to know exactly what's going on.
I think our audience knows what SNOP is, but let me just give you a short definition anyways. SNOP is the process of alignment between the demand, also called sales plan, and the supply, which is what and when the supply chain can deliver. Typically, SNOP is reviewed monthly and has a 1 to 2 year horizon.
Okay.
It's SNOP.
That's clear. Okay, thank you. Vincent, so congratulations to be a black belt expert, because I guess it's like quite high.
It's a good level.
Yeah, so congratulations to be the black belt expert. So any advice for our team and for this level today to help them?
Follow carefully all the screens, because there is different details everywhere, and maybe there is a disruption that will come just in the middle of the game, so they need to be aware of that.
Okay, and any word I heard about Delmia Quintic. So can you tell me about that? Or
Yeah, so Delmia technology can actually solve any planning puzzle, which means any challenge within any industry. You just told about SNOP, the business process, to align the sales plan and the supply plan based on financial KPIs. What do we need to do to take the best decision in the process? It's big questions. And I think for that, we need 3 things. Actually, the first thing is about having good data. So all companies have good data, but how do we clean up the data? How do we focus on the data that are really interesting for us? Then we need a realistic model. A realistic model is the twin, for sure, not too detailed because it's a never-end story, but enough flexible to actually model key business behaviors and also the constraints that will be used and matters in the simulation.
okay,
And at the end, we plug our world-class optimizer to reach optimal results by taking the right decisions, and actually the best possible decisions.
okay. So we'll see now if the 5 teams will use your advice, Vincent. So MC, what we're gonna see now, and we see all the teams going on now.
They're coming online, yes. Maybe we can talk about the participants a little
Yeah, sure.
bit. So our participants are mostly C-level, so I anticipate that they will be very comfortable with the topic today. More than yesterday, actually, because yesterday was much more technical, and so it might be surprisingly fast today, I think.
Okay, that's the C-level power, right?
Yes, I think they'll feel very comfortable. Also, what they will be doing today is that they will be slipping into the shoes of a supply chain director, and the quest will be around sales and operation planning process.
Okay, so let's switch to process fab, if you don't mind. And Vincent, I'm counting on you to tell me exactly what's going on.
Yep.
Okay, so let's switch to process fab.
Let's see where they are. Okay, they are just maybe on the summary and the goal. Maybe we can say that, just Guillaume said, here we are going out of the walls of the factory. We are really looking at the full supply chain and to really understand what we can do at this level. So for sure, it adds a lot of complexity because you have more and more variables, but we have an optimizer, we have the model to be able to achieve that.
Okay, that sounds very, very promising. Okay.
Their first step here is to generate a sales plan, correct?
Yes, exactly. When you have an SNOP process, is first a process. So you have to do first a sales plan, supply plan, make different reviews, financial review, and then at least at the end to take a decisions.
Okay, so let's think first, sales first, right?
Yeah. And you see, they have already a questions. Who has the information for the sales plan? So obviously we are talking about sales plan. So the quick answer will be the demand planner.
Okay.
So, and they already choose this one.
Good.
They are really good, I think.
They're going to be quick.
Exactly. So the demand planning is a forward-looking process. So where we analyze the history and also the all influencing factors that will, in order to collaboratively create the most likely demand plan. On this first screen, I can just see that, okay, we start with the data review and the demand planning. So this is the job of the demand planner. And they have automatically all the tasks that they need to perform to actually do this meeting. On this screen, now we have different graphs. So we talk about horizon to see that in the 2 years coming, a graph for the sales forecast, and also another graph about the different sales that actually was done. And here, it's always about understanding the deviation between the two graphs. And thanks to the different sales segments, different ways to deep dive into the information, we can really track and understand the data. So here we are focusing on these specific segments, and maybe it could be, I cannot see, but it could be maybe tracks in Germany. And if we understand why we have this deviation, maybe there is a big sale, it was not expected, we can comment and enrich the data with what we understood, to have all the data on the same place.
Okay, so the data that you collect will be useful for KPIs after that, and to enrich the database of knowledge, if I'm
There
right?
is contextual information, because when you take the figures after, you want to understand where this information comes from. What is this figure about it?
Okay, yeah. So and basically, if we see maybe the other teams going on, what is the key things to understand here exactly? What are the things that make you move forward?
Yeah, the key here is that making forecasts is really complex. We are looking really far away. We never know what will happen, but we need to at least make forecasts. We need to know where do we go. To make forecasts, we can take different inputs. We can take marketing inputs, sales inputs, but also we have some powerful engine to have statistical model, find some patterns. For example, every summer there is something, and combine all these factors together to get to a consensus forecast that is, let's say, the best possible forecast that we can have at a specific moment.
Okay, so let's switch to Navionics to see exactly where they are and how they are going. And Vincent, can you tell us what are those columns that we see?
Well, maybe I can just put some context here. So now they have the sales plan that's ready. Next, they will need to confirm that their supply chain is actually able to deliver. And so now, Vincent, how can you confirm the sales plan?
Yeah, so
it's feasible.
Exactly. So there is different solutions. So we see detailed schedule. So detailed schedule is only for the next 2 days. Before we were talking about 2 years of forecast, so it doesn't make any sense. So sorry, Frank, that you choose this answer. But I think create the supply plan maybe is the best one, because it's all about having and seeing how we can do that with the supply plan. Because as a demand planner, I know that it's crucial that the supply chain is really correctly represented, because I really need to have a twin of my real world that is really well represented. Delmia is a rich, accurate representation, and also have different ability to really add all necessary rule or optimization rule to that are needed for any specific industry. When I talk about representation, here you just see the full supply chain. On the left, it's all about all the production units we have, transportation lanes, stocking points. There is a lot of data that are needed really to model the full supply chain. Just thinking, on the main screen here, important also, you see different periods of time, a lot of figures for sure. Maybe it's a little bit messy for you, but what is important here is that for each period, each unit, you know which capacity do you have, and also how much will be consumed. And on this line, for example, everything is orange. It means it's at 100% of the capacity. So just by looking in 1 second, everyone can understand we have a bottleneck. We have an issue there, and we will need to take different actions to actually solve these problems.
Okay, so we see here for Navionics, which on the game is about airspace. So is it flexible to be applied to any other kind of industry?
Yeah. All the industry are using the same product, so the same technology. So there is standard features that we can configure to actually meet all the business objectives, all the business processes, behaviors of any companies.
So whatever industries you are, you can use this product and...
Absolutely.
Wow, okay.
And there's 5 using it right now.
Yeah, so that's the best
Or
demonstration.
more.
Yeah.
Or more.
Best example, yes.
So the question is, you need to investigate who should you consult.
So I think we got a big trouble in terms of supplier.
I think we have trouble. So we decided to put in a little twist here, and so the teams are just being informed that they might lose one of the suppliers.
Okay,
so
and we check if mobile trends deal with that. Actually, MC, so please continue.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Yeah. We go switch to mobile trends, so we'll
Yes.
see how they're going. Right?
Yes, exactly.
So they are trying to find the solution actually.
Still, yeah.
So who to contact? Because we have an issue with the supplier.
Yeah.
The question who
A
to
little
contact.
bit late.
Obviously, it's just go directly to the sourcing department to check what they can do. And looking for new suppliers, it could be a very long process. But what about being able to look to similar parts and also compare our possible supplier at once on one single page and take a quick decision about it? So Dassault System for that has created a part supply. So it's an online marketplace. It's a catalog, I think more than 53 million components on it and over 1,000 companies all over the world. And it's not a simple catalog. You can just see the screen and how they are navigating through the catalog. But it's also a powerful engine, search and navigation capabilities provided from our Exalead brand. So I'm just seeing on the screen. So here we are on the mobile trend. They're looking for battery, as you can see. So they are checking, for example, do we have other supplier as you have an issue? And for now, we don't have any supplier. So what they will do now, they will for sure use a powerful feature, which is the 3D similarity. So when you got a model, you can ask the system, do you have a model that could fit maybe the same product, so that maybe you can just replace it. So for sure there is some characteristic that has to be checked. And here they are just scrolling and checking everything because maybe one characteristic is mandatory, it's a requirement that we need to respect. I think maybe they did that already. You see, for example, the temperature of this battery, the maximum temperature allowed for this specific battery. And then they will only see these 3 products. They want then to compare them, for sure, to check which one to take. But it's not only a comparison based on technical criteria. We are in more sustainable operations. We can also check the sustainability of our different suppliers on different criteria to take the best one and to ensure that we cover all the aspects when we choose a specific product. Here we just see the screen of the supplier selection.
Okay, so if I understand well, so which means that, for example, if you're in your supply chain, you have something missing, a product missing, you have a catalog with 49 million objects in it, and then you can check if there is something exactly the same, and then you can pick it up and just contact the supplier and have it?
Exactly.
Wow, okay. Okay, that's incredible. And I guess that whatever is, wherever is the supplier, then you can impact the distances and everything or directly in your tool, your platform? Sorry?
We can configure the platform to take all variables that, let's say, that we want. And also we will see later on in the optimization part that we have some CO2 emissions depending on the different transports, so we can select different transport depending also on this criteria.
Okay, so MC, let's switch to quality device, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So they found a new supplier in a catalog, but that doesn't make them safe right now. So there's a lot to consider when you're looking at a new supplier, namely, having quality qualification. So when you have a new supplier, you need to qualify them. There's legal process. There's all kinds of things that need to happen, and right now they don't have time. So the best way to move forward would be, in this case, to do some simulations and simulate the fact that you may not have a supplier available for the next. Correct.
Exactly. Yeah. For example, if let's say that the supplier will not be able to deliver maybe in 2 months or 3 months some components, what will happen? So let's be prepared if that happened, and let's put this new constraint in the system to also check what will be the consequences of that. So I'm just checking the screen. They started to play. They are focusing on one specific supplier, and now within the model they will give some new inputs. So here the capacity will be at 0 for a specific period of time. So they will enter this new input, and automatically the system, based on this new data, will, at least this is the first step, will say, for example, this plan is not feasible. We see some red colors, and so for this period we have to take maybe actions. What can we do? Maybe we need to move the production ahead on another supplier. We need to take decisions.
We'll see if Navionics take the good decision, if you don't mind. So
Yeah.
let's see on Navionics. So what's the optimizer?
Yeah, talking optimization, I think it's a really important point. Maybe we'll see later on a different screen how it looks like. But working with simulation leads to realistic plans. But the question is, how do we know, do we have the best plan? How many plans we need to do, trying, like you put a figure, you see the result, like on Excel, you put an Excel, and you see the figure. It's a long manual process, and you don't know if you have the best possible solution. So it's where optimization comes in, and Delmia has world-class records in this field. The optimizer will be able to play with all the variables we have defined to actually meet the business goals. We have seen maybe on the right that we have KPIs. So this is the business objective of the company. This is what also Guillaume mentioned about we need to focus and to meet these objectives. And the mathematical optimization here is key to actually get the best of your supply chain by playing with all these variables, just to propose something that is the best, but also is realistic. We need to make this plan.
Okay, MC, what do you think of this situation for Navionics? They will make well now?
I don't know. I don't know.
This is, okay, that's what we see now. So the optimization. So once again, the optimization is applied to any industry, right? So it's optimized and flexible to anyone.
Yeah, exactly. It's here, for example, it's used on the SME process, but we use it on other domains like whale, workforce, and logistics.
Okay. Okay, so let's see how good tech are going.
So, good tech, they have a new calculated plan. The results are better. It looks like it could still be improved though. Vincent, how about the sustainability KPI?
Absolutely. We talked about sustainability before. So within our products and our solutions, we have different KPIs. So I don't know if you will see that on the screen, but we have CO2 emissions. So each transport generates the first KPI. The second one that we have is sourcing sustainability. We have seen before that we can select supplier, but we can give weights for each criteria and then have an overall, let's say, KPI. Because at the end, even if you have a really big complexity, with simple KPIs, as a CEO, I can just take my decision. And this is what we need, tools like that.
Okay, that's why it's very important to have the right KPIs with the right data to just put it on
and the right strategy in the system.
Yeah,
ensure that you have the good outcomes.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a look on Process Fab.
Okay, so now that they have different scenarios, different possibilities, they need to choose the right scenario to bring to their SNOP meeting that we talked about before. So, Vincent, what is the best tool to do this, and how can they make the best possible decision here?
Yeah, for sure. Here we are talking about SNOP process. We need to do a meeting. We need to take the good decision, but it's also complex because there is a lot of steps to go through to take the right decision. And we all do meetings every day, right? They are not every time efficient, but why? Because just using words is really complex. You have a word, and behind a word, everyone can have his own representation, understanding. We talk about the common language, the 3D model, for sure. It's really faster to be on the same page. Then using a tool like 3D Lean, so this is the tool you asked me.
I wanted you to talk about.
You can make real-time collaboration. It means everyone can have the same view, also contribute, because by doing it, contributing, you understand. So if you understand all the steps, you understand at the end the decision. And when you will go to other meetings, you will be able to really answer well, because you understood really why we took the decision. And then everyone is focused. Because one big problem of a lot of companies, it's the loss of focus. We need to focus to be able to meet our objectives.
Okay, like you said, 3D is a universal language, and I've seen like from yesterday that you have a lot of 3D models available for all your customers from all over industries, and that's pretty impressive. So good job to you, because that's not a simple task. So how are going the other teams right now? We see. So Vincent, can you tell us exactly who's going to win? Maybe Navionics or?
I cannot really see. MC, if you see.
No,
okay, let's see on Navionics.
Maybe we can talk a little bit more about the
Yeah.
3D Lean here.
For example, we see 3D Lean. So the demand planner and the supply planner prepare the results, their job, let's say. They bring that to the SNOP meeting. So the SNOP meeting will be prepared in advance. We know what, where, and how we will go through. And during the meeting, we will take actions. So everyone can take notes, actions, because at the end, it's all about being able to commit to this action, because you put it on the screen directly, and then you ensure that they will be done. Here we review, for example, the supply chain. We need to think about that. And at the end of the meeting, you will be able to see on the backlog all the actions, and then when do we plan it? What are the different priorities? Together, we take the decisions and we commit to a specific plan. Here, for example, they are drawing together the different steps, understanding why we took, for example, this specific decision.
Okay, so let's see how are the 5 teams are going, because we still don't have a winner. So who do you think we're gonna win, considering all those teams right now?
Just
Looks like Navionics to me.
Because they are with this
I
collaboration tool.
I think it's Navionics.
yeah, excellent. Yeah, you're-
Putting my money on Navionics right now. They're doing really well.
Okay. So we have also maybe Process Fab, right? I see SOP
Yeah,
and Navionics.
Process Fab is second and followed very closely by, I think, Good Tech or maybe Medical Device.
Okay, so congratulations to Navionics.
Yes, and
And then Process Fab, yeah, for complete the black belt, level. Congratulations. Thank you so much,
Great.
Vincent,
Welcome.
for your expertise. It was very, very interesting. And thank you, MC. So thank you so much. And now please welcome our CEOs, Vincent and Guillaume. So Morgan and Guillaume, sorry. So please come here, and don't forget on the hashtag the quest by 3DS on Twitter, and you can interact with us on Facebook, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn as well. So guys, wow, what a black belt level, sorry. So what's your feedback on that, Guillaume?
I love it. I mean, this is really the core of what we do at Dassault Systèmes. You know, it's about model-based manufacturing engineering or supply chain engineering at large, fed with real-world data. We saw the connection, and that's to reveal collaboratively actionable real-world evidence, to draw decisions and action from the data we fed into the 3D experience platform to take our decision. I mean, this is just right on.
Yeah,
right on.
and the good thing is Morgan is a specialist about data, right? So what's your feedback and your vision about all we've seen with the 5 teams?
Yeah, there are a few that was quite impressive, and I would like to take few takeaways on what happened. The first one is, as you have seen, to be able to deliver performance, we need to go from intuition to evidence by transforming real-world data. Why? Of course, because then the actors are capable of taking better decisions, but more importantly, because we can foster their energy, because they know what they have to do. They have no doubts. So delivering them the knowledge is a way to make sure they have the right energy to make things happen. That's point number 1. Go from intuition to evidence. The point number 2 is we need to transform massive information flow into insights and perspectives. To make any event that could happen anywhere in the world, to transform an event, that could happen anywhere in the world from a possible challenge into an opportunity. Why? Because by doing that, you're helping the company to react better, to react faster, to anticipate problems better than any of their competition. So intuition to evidence, information flow to insights. Last but not least, as you have seen, we need to transform every piece of knowledge that sits in the mind of any worker into a collective enterprise asset that can be reused by anyone. So intuition to evidence, information flow to perspective, knowledge accessible to anyone. The 3D experience is data-centric. It aims at empowering any user with knowledge, know-how, industry insight, contextual guidance. And we believe that this is what feeds the most performing companies to achieve a competitive edge, specifically around supply chain and sustainability.
Okay, so Guillaume, now the team has finished, so they own their reward, right? So
Yes,
who's going to be our next
bonus.
speaker?
Okay, so we are very happy to welcome, virtually obviously, but welcome Elisabeth Hegman. She is the executive director of global manufacturing engineering at Cummins, a global, technology, global power technology leader. So Elizabeth has held very various different position and makes her very experienced because she's been in charge of manufacturing operations, she's been in procurement, she's been in charge of engineering at Cummins, and today, so she's responsible for advanced manufacturing, industrial engineering, additive manufacturing, and all those advanced technology used in manufacturing. So we are very happy to have her with us, and I mean the title of her speech is right to the point: Sustainability in Manufacturing at Cummins.
Thank you so much. So let's go.
We live in a world where everything is there for you, whenever you need it. We live in a world that is always on. That's why there's Cummins. Cummins powers a world that can never be off. No one has the resources, the depth, the know-how that Cummins has to turn what's possible into what's doable. No one has more experience at turning energy into power. Every day, people all over the world rely on Cummins technology to keep their world always on. With Cummins, your business is always on. Your supply chain is always on. Your job site is always on. Your data center. Your home. Your fleet. Your world is always on. Cummins. Powering a world that's always on.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Hageman, the Executive Director of Global Manufacturing Engineering for Cummins. I'm excited to be talking with you today to share briefly about the very important topic of sustainability in manufacturing. When I think about sustainability, it really brings three things to mind: sustainability of our environment, sustainability of our business, and sustainability of one of our most critical resources, our people. Sustainability always brings me back to Cummins' mission, vision, and values. Making people's lives better while innovating for our customers is at our core. What better way to do that than to address environmental sustainability in everything that we do? Being committed to making people's lives better by powering a more prosperous world means that we are continuously advancing our product technology to provide clean power solutions, as well as evolving our manufacturing facilities and supporting systems. Both are critical to the survival of our business, as well as our communities and even our planet. We understand that strong communities and businesses depend on having a healthier planet. Planet 2050 is our long-range business strategy with an environmental lens that uses actions, advocacy, and partnerships to do our part to drive change for a healthy planet. Our goals are focused on three major priorities: climate change and air emissions, using natural resources sustainably, and recognizing that we cannot do this alone, partnering to ensure that our communities are better because we are there. Many of us have been working toward environmental sustainability for quite some time. So what makes Planet 2050 different? We are utilizing science-based climate goals that are absolute value rather than comparative goals, and of a size that they matter. We are also engaging our employees and taking advantage of the passion for this project, as well as the energy they have to make a difference. Again, recognizing we can't do this on our own, we are counting on the collective action across stakeholders such as our customers, suppliers, and communities. While it is great to have aspirational goals, we needed to make Planet 2050 real and digestible. That led us to developing understandable and tangible targets with a shorter time horizon in 2030. Focusing on science-based targets and the circular economy concept, we developed 8 goals for 2030. The targets have a broad scope encompassing our facilities, performance of our new products, as well as existing products. The targets deliver significant improvement in greenhouse gas emissions, waste generation, and water consumption. The circular economy focuses on manufacturing our product, ensuring we utilize fewer resources to produce our products, reusing or recycling 100% of our packaging, and reducing absolute consumption of water in our facilities by 30%. Of course, in manufacturing, the ability to know our waste and water consumption today as a baseline is imperative to drive improvement. Monitoring consumption of our natural resources real time and driving down that consumption requires the utilization of advanced technologies such as energy management systems and digital twins, and is key in successfully delivering our 2030 goals. New technologies span our end-to-end supply chain, including everything from products such as electrified powertrains and hydrogen technologies, manufacturing processes such as 3D metal additive, to big data and artificial intelligence connecting the digital thread of our products and processes all the way to our customers. The journey to deliver the end-to-end digital supply chain, commonly referred to as I4O, can be complex. For Cummins, we've developed a 6-element approach to organize and prioritize how we deliver the right capabilities using the right tools at the right time with the intent to capture value for the business. The latest add to the 6 elements is another vital area of sustainability in the digital age: our people. Digital solutions only provide value when the people utilizing the technology trust it and take action or allow action to be driven by artificial intelligence, changing the status quo and improving results. Bringing technology to our workforce and bringing our workforce with us through the evolution of technology is the glue that binds the digital thread together. To wrap up, let me reiterate that our mission at Cummins focuses on making people's lives better by powering a more prosperous world. We are continuously innovating for our customers, advancing our product technology to provide clean power solutions, and evolving our manufacturing facilities. All of this leads to a sustainable business model, which requires a sustainable workforce and a healthy planet. Thank you, and I hope you've enjoyed this conversation.
So what's an special speech by Cummins? So what's your thought on that, Morgan?
I think it's a very inspiring testimony. It is setting a new benchmark for the power sector. It reflects the consistency of all of our speakers. It is setting an ambition. It's proposing a plan. The human is at the core of everything. The people, more specifically. What are the takeaways? The journey to deliver high sustainability ambition, leveraging end-to-end supply chain, it requires a strong and meaningful strategy. It was very clear in this presentation. It was very clear in Robert Nardini's presentation. It requires a vision, but it also requires a commitment. It is fed by advanced technology. AI, big data, additive manufacturing, many examples have been taken. But it is realized by technology-empowered individuals and by a group of humans that are working together, collaborating together from anywhere, at any time, which, by the way, these days is quite critical. So definitely, this is a very inspiring testimony.
Thank you so much. So I guess we have a question from social media, Guillaume.
Yes, yes, we do. The question come from Mr. Amhaz, and the question is: today, digital transformation requires that engineers develop new skills and capacities. How Dassault Systèmes is addressing that? I think it's a good question. Morgan was just mentioning, technology-enabled people, and I would like to answer in 2 ways. First one is, obviously, we try to design our solutions in order to facilitate, their usage and that people can use them very quickly. And you've seen that in the presentation and in the various experiences, we are using touch and stuff like that because we want that to be accessible quickly to all users. Second, obviously, we offer zillion types of trainings, and actually we'll have a little surprise at the end of this show, right, about the type of things we can provide. But I would like to say that this is, to me, not the biggest challenge. The challenge is when you undergo a digital transformation, when you are striving to change your business model and the way you work, the challenge is to accept the change. And so the change transformation of people in their new ways of working is probably more important than the skill set that they need to acquire. And I think this is where Dassault Systèmes can help, but it's also a question of management, of focus, as Morgan was mentioning.
Okay, so talking about a challenge, and I know the next challenge. It's quite interesting, right? So can you tell us more about what's coming next?
Yeah, what's coming next? This is about supply chain, right?
Yeah.
And supply chain is a big topic for most of us, for all of us, industrial, and probably, you know, among the top two things that are on the top of the agenda of every head of operations. You know, there is health and safety of the people, and there is supply chain. And so supply chain can be very quickly very complex. And so we're going to first spend a couple of minutes together, or a couple of levels, I would say, to try to understand the complexity of the supply chain. First, we'll be an actor of a supply chain, okay? And we'll try to understand what types of decision we can make, what choice do we have in the way we manage our supply chain, for which impact and for which benefit, right? That will be the first part. And then we'll take a step back. We'll look at the global supply chain in which we are, right? And we'll try to see whether, if we were to work very well together and communicate very well together, can we optimize globally the supply chain, okay, and coordinating our decisions so that we have the better yield, okay? And those two things will help us understand the key challenges in managing supply chain. So to do that, I would like to welcome or to introduce my friend Jeff, supply chain expert and optimization expert. Jeff, will lead us into those two different steps.
Okay, that sounds very, very interesting and challenging as well, right? Yeah, so, and by the way, all the work you do for the resiliency is just impressive, so good job.
Okay, Jeff, this is for you.
Thank you, Gohan, for that interesting and enticing introduction. And welcome from me, and good morning and good evening to all of you out there as well. Today, we'd like to take you on a journey with us, where we'll ask for your help to help the planning executive teams for multiple companies make the best planning choices so that we can all succeed. In order to illustrate what we mean, I'd like to invite you to all participate in our Resilient Supply Chain Network game. The game will be formed in two parts. In the first part, you'll play in your individual team groups and try and make the best planning decisions for your company. And then in part two, we'll give you the opportunity to have even more influence and try and make the best decisions for all of the companies in the network. So to introduce part one in a little more detail, what we're going to do here is we're going to use a standard Delmia Quintic screen to compare three different plans. One that prioritizes our key customers, a second that prioritizes our alternate customers, and a third that's a balance between the two. In order to help us make the decision as to which plan is best, we're going to review the inventory levels, review the demand fulfillment by sales segment, review the demand fulfillment by product, check all of our critical KPIs, and ultimately make our decision here. So we're going to ask you to help us make this decision. So choose between one of the three plans once you've had the opportunity to consider all of the different options. So in this first part of the game, you're also going to play in your team groups. So Mobile Trends are going to work on behalf of Mobility Co, Good Tech on behalf of Battery Co, Process Fab for Machine Co, Navionics for Plane Co, and ultimately Quality Device for Medico. So in order to take us through this next section, I'd now like to hand you over to your expert team leaders and team consultants. Your team leader will operate the application on your behalf and can make the decisions and implement them that you choose. And your team consultant knows all of the details behind the plans, so can help you with that too. All right, let's make a start.
Good afternoon or good morning, and welcome to this exciting game. I am Alexis, your team leader for the Navionics group, and together with us, we have Joran, our planning expert, who will help us to understand what are the different planning options we can play with. So Joran, please explain us.
Hello, yes, very excited to be part of playing this game together with you. I would like to notice we are on the clock. At the top right, you can see our remaining time. We have about 3.5 minutes remaining. In that time, we need to make an important choice. We are in a bottleneck situation right now in our Plainco factory. So we can't fulfill all the demand of our customers. I have made for you 3 plans. We can either prioritize our key customers in plan A, prioritize our alternative customers in plan B, or make a more of a balanced approach in plan C. At the top right, you can see the consequences of choosing such a plan on our main KPIs. What do you think of the KPIs, Alexis? Which one do you think is important?
I think that considering the current situation, I would rather focus on the cost and margin as my key KPIs.
It's a very good idea. Then from the colors, we can see that plan B is scoring very well on that, having the highest margin and the lowest cost of sales.
Absolutely.
Now, would you then select this plan? Is this maybe the best one?
Yes, I would like to, but in order to make a more informed decision, it would be interesting to have more information on.
Yes, very true. We have just received a phone call from our key customer that he is not happy about our performance of the last 2 months, and he would like to receive a bit more love this month. And with regards to our long-term strategy of keeping our key customer, perhaps plan A, where we focus completely on the key customer, or maybe plan C, where we make a balance, could be a good move as well.
What I understand from what you say is that there is no perfect plan. We need to. It depends on the balance of KPIs we want to have, and it's a matter of trade-off, right?
A trade-off.
Yeah, it's an
There's
important.
even more information. Yeah,
it's an important information to take into account. But again, it would be interesting to see the impact more precisely on my different segments and my different country if I decide to select this plan A. Can you help?
Yes, let's have a look there. You can look at the below chart and you can maximize this so we can have a more detailed look. And if you now filter out plan C, we can focus on really the big difference between plan and A. And we can see that plan A focuses on planes in, for example, Austria and the UK, while plan B focuses on extra large planes in the UK and in Germany. But now that we have even more information, let's ask our team. They should now have received a poll. I would like to learn from you what you think is the best plan. Plan A, plan B, or plan C? Prioritizing our key customers, our alternative customers, or striking a balance? Do you have a preferred plan, Alexis?
Based on what we said, I would agree to consider plan A to prioritize our key customer based on what you said before and the impact of it.
Definitely. Let's have a look at what our amazing team members have come up with. It seems that we want to focus on plan B, prioritizing our alternative customers. Although there's now some interesting choices to be made. Plan C seems to be winning. All right.
Interesting.
A balance, that's a safe play, right? Let's go ahead and choose that plan.
Absolutely. Let's select this plan. So I select the plan C.
Yes, you can go ahead and submit it. Thank you very much, team, for your input. A choice well made, a hard trade-off.
So I hope that was fun. Did you find it easy to make a choice? Did the different KPIs and planning analytics help you to make that decision? And I can see that all of you were able to make a choice, and in only 4 minutes. It's impressive work. So let's take a look at what you all chose. So I can see that Battery Co. chose to prioritize their alternative supplier, Machine Co. Machine Co. chose to prioritize their key supplier, Mobility Co. Medico also chose to prioritize their key supplier, which is the external. Mobility Co. has prioritized their external supplier, and Plane Co. has made a balance between the different sizes of planes that they produce. So that's really interesting. But I wonder how these choices that we've made individually are going to impact the network overall. So we'll get onto that in just a minute or two. But before we do, I'd like to introduce you to the Part 2 game and how that's going to work. So in the second part of the game, we're actually going to work with this network. So let's look at it in a little bit more detail. So Battery Co. has got 2 customers, Machine Co. and Medico, and they themselves also have 2 customers each. Machine.co supplies Mobility.co and also Plane.co, and Medico also supplies Plane.co and then an external supplier. Both Mobility.co and Plane.co also have two sources that they're going to supply to. Mobility.co once again into Plane.co and also to an external, and then Plane.co itself has the two different types of aircraft that it can manufacture. But our network is constrained. Each of these companies has a limited capacity that they can actually produce. So Battery.co has a maximum capacity of 80 and Mobility.co has a maximum capacity of only 40. And each of the companies in the network also has those three different choices that we made individually: to prioritize the key customer, to prioritize the alternative customer, or to balance demand between the two of them, supply between the two of them. Each company continues to be very interested in its individual KPIs. Of course, in this case, revenue and key customer fulfillment. And now that we have the whole network to be considered, we can see the supply and demand requirements for all of the different elements. So for example, Battery.co has demand of 82 from Machine.co and demand of 18 from Medico, but can only make a total of 80. So there's going to need to be some trade-off made. So we've been looking at the network together, and in order to consider that, we've got some network KPIs. So here the fulfillment is the fulfillment across the whole network for all customer demand from all of the companies. Our key customer fulfillment percentage is the key customer fulfillment, again from all of the companies. The revenue, total revenue across the board for each company. And we combine these together to give us a score that indicates overall how well our global supply network is performing. So the name of the game in this second part will be to see whether we can improve that score while still making good decisions for each of the individual companies. So I'm going to hand you back to your team leaders and team consultants to have a go at this next part of the game, and I'm going to give you 5 minutes to make your choices and see how you'll go. Here you are.
Back to the game. We see now on the screen the plan we have selected before in the context of the full supply network with our company, Plane.co, on the right, and the different suppliers. So, Joren, how can we learn from this network information and use it to improve our score?
Yes, Alexis, a very good question. So our objective is to maximize the score that we can see at the top right. And again, we are on the clock, so let's make the most of our time. If we look at the box of Plane.co in this amazing network, we see that indeed our choice is reflected, that the demand strategy has been, or the balanced strategy has been chosen. But what we can also see is that we're not making any revenue, we're not making any planes. So that's probably not good for the network as a whole and not good for us as well. So let's have a look at why that is the case. We can see from the gray arrows going into Plane.co that we are not getting any supply from Medico. Medico is not giving us anything. But if we look even further or higher up in the network, we see that Battery.co is not providing anything to Medico. So it makes sense that Medico can't give us anything. So now we can play around with the strategy of Battery.co. Alexis, can you make a choice that is maybe giving Medico some supplies?
Yes, we should try to try the key customer options.
Very good
strategy.
idea.
Yes, some improvement, right?
Ah, yes, our KPI is going up. Fantastic.
Yes.
Very good. So we can see that we can make choices for the individual companies, but we want to optimize the whole network. So we need a strategy for that to come up to make the best choices. And we would like to ask you, our audience, to give us your idea on how to do this. We have different strategies. We choose the balanced option for all the companies, or we choose the prioritized key customer option for all companies. We can go through the network forward to backward and try to make the best choice at each moment. Or we go backwards, we start backwards, and we go towards the forward, the higher up in the network, and try to make our best choices there. So please let us know which strategy you think will result in the best score.
On my side, Joren, I would be selecting the key customer option. I stay on my opinion, but let's see what our audience is proposing.
Exactly. It does make sense to focus on key customers, definitely. So can you see the results, Alexis? This is an interesting result. They agree with you. Oh, okay, we are getting some update.
It's moving fast.
Yeah. Seems this to be a tie with the two options. But then Alexis, let's make your vote the deciding factor. Let's prioritize the key customers for all.
So I select the key customer option for all, like this. Here we go.
It seems we have an okay score. I think we were a little bit higher moments before. So now the question is, how can we do better? And again, if we look at Plainco, we see our revenue is at 0. So I think that's a great place to start. But let's first analyze how we are going to make money. The revenue of the plane extra large and the normal plane. If we hover over there, we see that the plane extra large is 1.4 million. And the other plane we sell for 1 million. So it's in our best interest to make more extra large planes to make the most revenue. But we see that Machine Co is not giving us any material. Perhaps we can change Machine Co strategy to enable us to produce some planes.
Yeah, let's try to change it. It has positive
There
results.
we go. Great result.
Wow, high
KPI
score.
has gone up tremendously. Fantastic.
Great.
So now let's take a look. Can we improve by changing Plainco strategy? I think if we want to make more extra large planes, we should focus on the external customer or the balanced approach.
Let's try both.
All right, that does not improve our KPI. It's interesting. We can also see why. Because we have a capacity of 6. And in this moment, we are only making 5 planes, so we're not maximizing. So if we go back to the key strategy, that is best. And in the next part, we will see whether we can improve even more.
Thank you, you're right.
So, I hope you're still having fun, but things are a little bit harder now. It's not so easy to find a good strategy that works for the company and also for the network. But let's take a look at the leaderboard and see how you're all doing. So very interesting. Team Good Tech are on the top, and they've done really well in increasing the revenue and also the fulfillment of the key customer. Team Moby Trends have potentially got a little bit more work to do, but what I can see is all of you have done very much better than how we started. So by working together, we're able to do better. But now you know your position. Are you ahead or are you behind? And can you potentially top the leaderboard? Let's give you 3 more minutes to see whether you can make it to the top. Off you go.
So, teams, this is the last chance to be the first and have the high score. So, Joren, what do you suggest, as you are the expert, to improve our score?
All right, let's do our best to squeeze the most out of this network that we can. So I think our goal should be to make as much extra large planes as possible, because that's where our revenue is. But as we saw from our choices, we weren't able to make that, but we need a bit more information to discover why. If you can hover over the Plainco box, there are our bill of material. And we can see what we need to build a plane, extra large plane, and what we need to build a normal plane. And we can see that we have our stock levels at the moment. We have 0 defibrillators. And those are exactly the elements that we need 2 of to make extra large planes. So we see that Medico is building our defibrillators. And it's only supplying 8 out of the total 12 that it could. So perhaps if we change the strategy here, we can allow ourselves to get the material that we need. Very good. So now the KPI went down, but I think if we now are capable of changing the Plainco strategy to enable us and boost our KPI even further. That's amazing. We're going up even more. 1874. Well done.
And could we try the balance option, maybe? Or...
Let's try it. It's always good. No, it seems to be focusing on the extra large planes is really the best option. So what can we do even more? I see something interesting. Medico has a capacity of 14. but it is demanding 18 batteries from Battery Co, but is not able to use them fully. Perhaps we can do something interesting with the strategy from Battery Co to supply Machine Co a bit more. Ooh, then we don't supply anything to Medico anymore and our KPI has gone down. Don't think that is the best decision. Fantastic. Very good. So where our KPI is going up even more. Now let's see, what could we do even more? Can you hover over the Planeco box? We see that we're now using the maximum capacity of our company, but we still have a closing stock of 4 belt loaders, 2 defibrillators and 2 tire inflators. I'm mostly interested in the tire inflators. Maybe we can do something with the Machine Co strategy in a more balanced way so that we are not having that much stock at the end. This is amazing. They are supplying exactly the 6 tire inflators that we need to produce our planes. So we are at an amazing KPI at the moment. We could try out whether Mobility Co and Medico can be optimized even more. But I think we're at a very good spot at the moment.
Yes.
What do you think, Alexis?
Yes, very good score. You are really our key expert.
Thank you very much. And thank you, team.
Okay, so that's your game time over. Let's check the final leaderboard and see how you all did. Wow, even more improvements. So we've got tied for first place between Process Fab and Navionics, both with a score of 1,924. And all of the teams have done so much better than we were able to do individually. I can actually tell you that the score of 1,924 is the best that you could have got, so congratulations to both of those teams. But probably you found that it wasn't very easy to make the right decision for the individual team and also for the network as a whole. But hopefully it's what's clear is by working together, we're able to do better. But you might ask, what about it? My planning team are not going to go and work for all of the companies in the network. There wouldn't be the time, and even if they did, there'd be a conflict of interests. Which of the companies ultimately would they be trying to do the best for? Well, that's a very good point. But of course, we're not suggesting that actually the planning teams should go and do this work, but instead an unbiased optimization AI with neutral decision making and no vested interests is instead absolutely the right person for the job. So let's give such an algorithm this simple game and see how it performs. So I'm going to have a look at all of the details. So let's start with that start point score. So when we're all playing individually, we ended up with a score of 1,094. Even the best score that we all found after those 200 people worked together was a score of 1924. So now let's give it to the algorithm. Great. So we find in complex puzzles like this, like chess and Go and GPS route planning, that actually the optimization AI is able to very quickly find a solution that's even better than the results that we found previously. And in this example, it's more than 30% better in terms of key customer fulfillment and more than twice as good in revenue than the original strategy we had when we were all working independently. And even when we compare it to the score that we got with all 200 of us working together, it's still 3% better for key customer fulfillment and 1% better overall. Now, of course, 3% and 1% aren't enormous percentages, but when we're considering a global supply network that could have billions of value in it, that's a substantial improvement to everybody's bottom line. So I hope you've enjoyed coming on that journey with us today, and thank you very much to all of the team leaders and team consultants for keeping those sessions on track. I'd like to hand you back to your keynote speaker, Mr. Guillaume van Dreux.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Indeed, I think this is a demonstration that supply chain is a very complex puzzle. And what is fun is, even in a very simplified network, I mean, we had, 5, 6 suppliers, each supplier having 3 strategy, right? And we had a lot of people working and good brains working on the topic. nobody converged to the same results as the first route. And even the second route, 3 minutes later, right, they still did not converge. So those are indeed complex, and this is the reason why we need a scientific approach. We need the 3D experience, the science of the 3D experience, to be able to, as Jeff showed, find the best or the optimum for the network. So this was simple. So now let's play a little game, right? Let's scale it up a little bit, right? What about thinking about 3,000 suppliers, 8,000 components, 1,000 final product? And what about giving the 3D experience platform the access to all the data of all the 3,000 actors of this supply chain? Costs and quality, delivery and capacity, so that the optimizer can take the best decision for the whole thing. So let's see what that can do for us.
So, leaving our small game network in the rearview mirror, let's now get our teeth into something a little bit more representative of reality. In this next network, we're going to look at 3,000 companies with 1,000 finished products and 6,000 sub-assemblies requiring 8,000 components, consuming 50 raw materials from 60,000 supply lines to give us 100 billion planning possibilities, but all still managed as one global supply network. So given it's a global supply network, we have to start with a globe, right? And onto this globe we'll add all of those companies. Here they are, and their size represents how much they're producing, and their colour represents how much of their capacity is being utilised. Below 40% in green, up to 60% in yellow, then up to 80% in orange, and finally 100% of capacity in red. But nothing much is going on at the moment, however, because we've not given them anything to do. But before they can do anything, let's get all of those stakeholders connected. Across the network, we have more than 51,000 people with their eyes on the prize. And here they are. All of these different roles are involved in the network in one way or another, and are collaborators to make sure that we get the right result. Now let's get all of the companies connected and working together. So that's more like it. We can now see the transport flows between all the companies and how their production quantities and capacity utilizations react as demand ebbs and flows week by week for the first few months of the year. So this is all looking good. We have a nice, efficient, controlled network, and things seem to be working well. But how does our global supply network react when something new happens? Let's see. With NetVibes providing constant real-time monitoring and analysis of the latest industry news, I can see in the past couple of days there have been some real excitement gathering around an innovative new process for battery recycling in Texas that's about to be launched. There's currently only one facility that's able to execute this revolutionary new process, which will massively reduce the cost and environmental impact of lithium-ion batteries. Pretty much anything with a battery in it now or in the future will want to leverage this new technology as quickly as possible. There we go. Just a week after launch, the network is starting to react and quickly consumes all the capacity of that one US-based facility. Let's watch as the story evolves over the next few weeks. Now that would seem to be an increase in capacity at the first facility as they ramp up to full production. And it's great to see that we can supply several more companies in Japan and then in California. But again, almost immediately, that additional capacity has also been consumed. Over the next couple of months, we can see additional facilities coming up to speed. First on the US East Coast, which also causes supply variations due to lead time preferences. Texas, for example, is a long way from Sweden, but a little bit closer to Philadelphia, so those supply lines are evolving to be more sustainable and efficient. Ultimately, as the year progresses, further, we're also seeing more demand from Europe and Asia, and in order to satisfy that extra demand, further production centres are opened here in Norway, and finally, as we get to the second half of the year, the production centre in central China comes online and the race is all but complete. With all the companies in our network securing the supply they need with an improved ecosystem in which new supply complements their existing supply. We close the year with a growing network which continues to provide the resilience to disruption we're looking for and is making the best sustainable choices for the mutual benefit of all the companies who participate. In this example, you've seen how a global network of thousands of companies with millions of constraints and billions of options can be continuously orchestrated and optimized for mutual benefit using the very same Dalmia-Quintic optimization AI technology as you will find built in as standard within all the Dalmia advanced planning and scheduling solutions.
So Guillaume, this experience was amazing. I felt like I was in 2030, not in 2020.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, each time I've been looking at this a few times before today, and I'm always amazed when I see that, and look at the resiliency and the agility that our technology can provide. But because this is not 2030 from a technology standpoint, this is available today. Okay, this is not a technology problem. We have the system, we have the 3D experience platform, we have the solutions, we have the know-how. The problem is more vicious than that. The problem is, it's a problem of organization. It's a problem of management of that supply chain. How do we get all those 3,000 actors to collaborate totally transparently, to share the data totally transparently, and to accept the decision of the AI, freely, right? In order to be able to fulfill that. So this is a real management problem more than a technology problem. So this is something we are looking at. So keep posted because we're going to continue investigating that route. It's the value is so big. So thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff, very much for this demonstration. I think it was extremely interesting. And as we closed yet another level, we have yet another bonus. So Morgan, who have you with you?
So as a last bonus of the day, we're going to listen to Anne Larry-Latti. She's VP of Sustainability at Finnair, one of the oldest operating airlines. She's leading the company's sustainability effort on a broad range of topics, which goes from accessibility, diversity to climate, and material management. Of course, contributing to a strategy that does both sustainability and profitable growth. She's also the chairwoman of the board of the Finnish Business and Society, Nordic's largest sustainability network, and she's a member of Vekos, a government-owned gaming company. Anne, today, will explain us how COVID-19 impacted their sustainability strategy, how they are adapting to the new normal, and how they're doing that while keeping their ambitious target and their ambition level.
Okay, so now let's speak. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anne Larry-Latti. I'm head of sustainability for Finnair. I hope you've enjoyed your day until now, and I hope to give you some more food for thought for the rest of the day as well. I will be talking briefly about sustainability as part of strategy in corporations, and touching a little bit on also the impacts of COVID and the changes or sort of new directions that it has given sustainability work. First of all, there was a shift happening even before the pandemic really started monopolizing the agenda in many companies. Companies were increasingly seeing sustainability as a competitive factor. They were putting more resource on it. They understood that this is savings, this is new business. It's not only about complying with regulation. Customers were getting more and more demanding. Definitely for an airline, that has been very, very clear. ESG funds were outperforming the market. Companies such as BlackRock were starting to focus on environment and diversity and demanding companies to report on them and to perform well on them. So there was this shift happening, and then in March onwards, we were really hit by a surprise with the pandemic, and it started changing certain things. Luckily, this is something that will pass. So there will be a post-COVID world as well, and now is the time when we're preparing for it. And in that preparation, sustainability plays a huge role. You can see it from, if you look at the EU Recovery Fund, for example, it is very, very clear that EU is putting criteria out there to look at initiatives with a clear climate impact, with a clear employment benefits, with clear social benefits. So very much on the agenda, maybe even more so. We're talking about coming back better. We're talking about green recovery, and really seeing that this is kind of a reboot that gives us an opportunity to shift certain things. So what kind of things then happened, and what we thought about at Finnair? First of all, what was very, very striking was sort of going back to the roots of sustainability, the good old three-legged stool with financial, social, and environmental sustainability. For an airline, for obvious reasons, the environmental agenda tends to dominate the sustainability work. But now, with most of our fleet on the ground, with huge layoffs on the horizon, with the Finnish export industry in line, all of a sudden we started balancing more. We were looking still on the environmental agenda. We had put out one of the most ambitious agendas out there for an airline in terms of reducing our CO2 emissions by half by end of 2025 and becoming carbon neutral in 2045. So hugely ambitious, and we had a very serious talk if we can still do this or not. And we decided that we have to be able to do it in order to be future-proof, in order to be competitive in the future as well. So we kept the environmental agenda, but at the same time, the social agenda, especially the employees, and the economic agenda came up and sort of became more equal in terms of the discussion. And this is kind of the unique challenge of corporations. If you compare us to say NGOs, there's some fantastic climate and environment focused NGOs out there that do super important work, but they have one luxury that we don't, and that is that they can more focus on one issue. They can focus on, for example, environment, whereas we need to balance. So again, as an airline, we pledged to reduce our emissions. Well, this year we have a lot more than we could have ever imagined. But because it was not controlled, it was not planned, it was driven by the pandemic, the social impacts are not really sustainable. I mean, they're not even bearable. We're looking at thousands and tens of thousands of people out of work in Finland alone. We're looking at people being separated from their loved ones. We're looking at the impact in the destination countries that are often very tourist-driven. The tourism industry is employing a lot of women, a lot of young people, and all that disappeared with the emissions. So it's the balance. Obviously, we're happy that the emissions are down, but is the cost too much for it? So we'd prefer a more sort of a controlled reduction in the emissions, to utilize technology, to utilize intermodality, to utilize new fuels, biofuels, synthetic fuels, to get that environmental agenda where we want it to be, without sacrificing the social and the economic agenda. And this balance also means that you really need to look at sustainability as part of your strategy, because if it's not, then how can people that work with sustainability know how to create added value in the company? So you need to make sure that you have people that have the competence, but also that have the capabilities, that have the access, and to create this sort of this beautiful harmony all the way from the Articles of Association of the company, which Finnair changed in May to reflect our sustainability ambition as well, to the purpose of the company, to the board agenda, to the executive management team agenda, to the sustainability team agenda, and then to the broader employee agenda of a company. And everything needs to be in harmony. Everything needs to fit together and sort of aim you in the same direction. And what that direction is, that depends on your company. It depends on the industry. It depends on the country you mostly work in. It depends on many things, like your strategy does. So this needs to be part of your strategy process. Recognize the risks, recognize the opportunities. So balance, and to reach that balance, to have that cohesive plan to be part of the strategy. Secondly, a change that we've seen is partnering. We've always been pretty good at partnering, but now we're partnering with completely different companies than we did, say, 10 years ago, when we were partnering with other airlines, maybe a little bit up and down in the value chain. But now the partnering happens with universities, other researchers, with companies that are doing crazy moonshot development in making carbon dioxide into fuel, for example. So be curious, look at the world around you and look at your purpose in a broader sense. So for Finnair, our purpose is not to fly people from airport A to airport B. Our purpose is to bridge the world. And when you start from that, you start seeing new possible partnerships as well. And finally, not everything is bad about the crisis. There's always opportunities that you might not have had before the crisis. So just to give you an example, some of the fuel consumption initiatives that Finnair has been planning have been very, very difficult to implement and to test when we're running our normal schedule and the planes are turning in minute schedules from one airport to another, and we really don't have time to do big changes in between. Now we have a little bit more time. Now we can do things that we maybe were not able to try before. We have created a very strong relationship with our customers. They understand our difficulties. They're ready to help us. They're also ready to help us develop in a way that we will come back better and give us ideas and give us their feedback on our sustainability activities. In the same way, if you're looking at your company and your sustainability agenda, I'm sure you can find things there that are actually easier to implement now than they were before. So look at the balance, fit with the strategy, look at new partners, and finally seize the day, check what you can do now, what might have been difficult before, but what the very strange, very tragic, but luckily temporary situation we're in. Thank you very much.
So Guillaume, what an inspirational speech to close this quest to sustainable operations.
Indeed, indeed. Yes, we are reaching the end of the journey, the end of the quest. And recollecting a little bit what we've seen during these 2 days, I think we have three things to have in mind. The first one is obviously sustainability is on the agenda of everybody, in particular the leaders. It was true before the pandemic, right? They didn't wait for the pandemic for that to happen, but this very unfortunate context in which we are today has made some adjustment in the way they approach sustainability, I believe. The first one, we see the pandemic as an accelerator of their sustainability transformation, and not because all of a sudden the industrial community, because of the pandemic, would have realized that we have a sustainability problem, because they realized that before. It's just that this situation puts us in such a difficult crisis that a lot of companies have to reinvent themselves to be able to overcome the crisis, right? And so always in the time of reconstruction is a time of acceleration of change. And so there is an opportunity, unfortunately, in this pandemic, which is to introduce sustainability more at the core of every company as they are reconstructing themselves. So it's an accelerator. The second thing that changed with the current situation is that the sustainability we were talking pre-COVID is not quite the same, if I may, as the sustainability post-COVID. Pre-COVID, the focus was mostly on the planet side, right? The waste, the water, the energy consumption, the CO2 emissions. And you heard it, right now with Anne. Obviously, these have shifted. Okay, we've seen that also with Robert Nardini earlier today. People are at the core of it. Social responsibility of the actor are at the core of what people are trying to do now in their sustainability transformation. And by the way, and you heard also Anne mention that, costs come back or profit come back, okay? Because people start to understand that sustainability or green is all good, people is all good, but if the company are not profitable to be able to fuel that sustainability journey, obviously we're gonna have a problem. So first takeaway, sustainability at the top of the agenda with a current acceleration, but in a more balanced manner. The first thing. The second thing is, if you remember, we established a sustainability framework last year, and to define the key pillars or the key alleys in which we want to go forward in order to engage into that transformation. And there was 3 of them, okay? The people side, what we call that the human experience, or how to have a people-centric approach, protective, developing our workforce, okay? The second pillar was the planet side. We called it the virtual twin experience, okay? This is the ability to leverage virtual universes to connect it to the real world, to actually find, if I made the relation with what Dr. Leiker told us yesterday, to be able to imagine the best just-in-time organization or the best in-station quality organization in order to be able to provide as much value as possible and as much efficiency as possible. Remember, this is lean, and we'll be lean. If we are lean, we'll be green. And the final one is resilient supply chain or value network. And this relates to how we can manage in an optimized manner the value chain in order to get the maximum value out of it. And so those 3 frameworks, those 3 alleys in which we need to engage are confirmed. I mean, you've heard during those 2 days that one way or another, all our key leaders are thinking about those routes. So those routes in which we have engaged here in Dassault Systèmes with the 3D Experience platform are the routes of the future. And final takeaway, and this is the shortest, but I think one of the most important is, I think you've seen through all the experiences that we've experienced together, that we looked at together, that the 3D Experience platform now is indeed the key enabler and catalyst of that sustainable transformation. You want to go into a sustainability journey, you need to go to the 3D Experience platform as an enabler to that transformation. So third takeaway, 3D Experience platform is a solution, and I think this is quite a good conclusion for the day. So this is the end. Okay, so thank you all for attending, for participating. For some of you, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned from it. And please, don't hesitate to share your feedback on the socials. I mean, we love that. This is very important for us because this is the way we're going to get better next year. I would like to have a special thanks for all the players that we followed and that entertained us during the full days. You helped us have bonuses, and we saw 5 of them. And so for you all, there will be a special one. We're going to give you a little gift and access to, again, lean is key for us. So we're going to give you access to the DS training, online training for lean manufacturing. So hope you enjoy it. Thank you to the team, because I think you all did a great job. Thank you, Morgan.
Thank you.
Your insight always extremely interesting. And Penta, I enjoyed being a gamer for 3 hours. So thank you so much to have hosted this event with me. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
And so thank you again, and see you all next year for the 7th edition of Manufacturing in the Age of Experience. Thank you.